Hi everyone, welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can take your colored pencils, and we've done this underlayer with colored pencils and blend it out with OMS, which is our odorless mineral spirits. And I'll go ahead and link the video below that I explained how I do that. But in this video, I'm going to show you how you can go on top of your underlayer with colored pencils and create the details that you want and really make your piece pop. So here I really want to focus on my lights and my darks. And so I'm just starting on this base layer here, and I started putting in some of that yellow just to deepen it up. And as I'm going on top of this layer, I'm keeping in mind that I'm not going to blend out most of this with odorless mineral spirits. So if I want to keep some texture, I want to make sure that I start creating that texture now. So as you're seeing me going in with the darker pencils here, and I'm going to be using the magenta from Prismacolor and magenta from Polychromos. One's a little bit more pinkier and one's a little bit more purple. But I really want to use those pencils now to start bumping up these darker areas. And like I said in the last video, I want to push mine a little bit more purple on my picture just because that's what I'm going for. So I want to make sure that all of my strokes and my directions, and I am intentionally doing like strokes here instead of doing like soft little circles and keeping everything, you know, more close together on my base layers. That's what I would want to do so that everything blends out a little bit more smoothly. But now I want to make sure I'm going in the direction of the petals to create that texture and to create those lines that we can see in the original reference photo, which I have on screen right now. And so I want to be intentional with that. And I'm really looking at that reference photo and looking at the darkest areas, and I'm deciding which of my pencils that I'm going to use for that. And this video was all in real time, so I will have it linked down below. This was a live stream on my channel, so if you guys want to check that out or if you want to follow along, I will make sure to link that down below so you can see it. But I'm sort of trying to give you the quick and easy version here. But this is where I'm starting to create that little line texture. And as that petal curves over, I want to make sure that all of my lines curve with it so that everything's going in the right direction. So the illusion that we're creating with the colored pencils here is that that petal is curving over. And the other side of the petal is curving another way. So I want to make sure on this side here that my pencil strokes are going in the opposite direction. So you really want to make sure that you're looking at whatever reference photo you're using, whether it's a flower or maybe it's a pet portrait, and you want to see which way the hair is curving in this area versus this area, because not all hair and not all petals curve the same way, even if it's the same flower. So you really want to be mindful of that. And while I'm building up these layers, I'm still using maybe a medium pressure. I'm never pushing harder than I really need to get the layer, to get the color to lay down onto the paper. So I'm keeping that in mind as well, because if I need to blend and go over top, if my darks don't get dark enough for me, then I can still do that because I'm not ruining the tooth of the paper. Now in this piece, just doing the one layer was good enough. And as I'm doing this, I'm making sure that I'm still keeping these white areas white, but they're not bright enough for me, so I will be going over top with my Polychromos and my Prismacolor white, just to bump that up. So I want to make sure I don't take these dark colors too far into that white area, because as you know, if you use colored pencils, it's really hard to layer white on top of colored pencil. So I want to make sure I'm saving that, but I will show you how I do that a little bit later in this video. And the difference really between the white Prismacolor and Polychromos is the Prismacolor is a little bit more opaque, but a softer pencil. So I find if I want fine lines like this, as you're seeing me do here, I'll choose the Polychromos one, because I can get a finer point with that one, and you can push harder with that one, and it will keep its tip longer than the Prismacolor one. But I sort of switch back and forth depending what I'm looking for, and because I managed to keep the brights on this piece here pretty good, I don't have to push that hard with it, so it's actually keeping the tip very nice. And another trick that I have to keep the tip on this pencil even better, or any pencil that you're using, is to constantly rotate it while I'm using it. So I'll do a couple of strokes, turn the pencil in my hand, do a couple more strokes, turn the pencil in my hand. So I'm using each side of the pencil, if you will, And so it keeps that nice tip on the end of the pencil. So I'm still able to get these nice little strokes, and I haven't had to sharpen my pencil yet. and that works with any brand of pencil that you're using. So as I'm using this white, again, I want to make sure I'm bringing that white down into the other colors so that I get this really nice soft transition. So I start pushing a little bit harder at the top where it's the whitest in the highlight, and then as I pull that pencil down, I lift the pressure off. So I'm sort of going medium, light, medium, light every time that I pull that pencil down. And I'm being mindful again to go in the opposite direction of the way the petal's curving. So if all my dark lines were going towards the right, I want to make sure that the light lines are going towards the left so that they're sort of meeting and that they can blend really nicely, if that makes sense. Now, once I've got my darks in and my lights in like this, I'll go back and look at my other colors because there might be some other areas. Now that we've got some of our darkest darks and our lightest lights in, you might notice that you need to punch up some of the other colors just because they either don't look as vibrant or as bright as they originally did. So this is the stage that I go in and I kind of stop really looking at the reference photo at this point. I want to look at just my artwork and say what's going to make my piece look better at this point. So I want to focus on just my piece because at this point it probably doesn't look 100% like the original does because I've changed some of the colors. I might have bumped up some of the shadow areas or some of the highlights. So I want to look at my piece and say, okay, because this area is a little bit darker, I need to go under the petal a little bit more and make that look a little bit darker so that it looks like it fits in the piece. And so that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm deciding that I want to create a little bit more darkness within some of those dark shadows. And this is the funnest stage with colored pencils. This is probably my favorite part, is where you just go back and forth and play and you can add more colors. You know, this is just really fun because you're got all your information down on the paper at this point, and so you're just deciding what's going to make your piece look a little bit better. So I hope this helped you with your colored pencils, and like I said, I will have the real-time live stream of this down in the description below, and make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so that you're notified when I post my videos, so you'll see more videos like this, and hit the like button if you've enjoyed it. That really does help my channel out. And thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye!